Hello and welcome to my stamp studio today. So I hope all of you are doing well. Has anyone else been wondering what happened to the sun though? I really miss it. I've been in my stamp studio with all my lights on, getting a whole different kind of phototherapy lately. But I would really like to get it from the sun and wish it would reappear. So anyway, so lately with June approaching quickly, I've been asked for some Father's Day cards. So this week I put myself to the task and it was a little challenging. I have no problem sitting down and whipping up some beautiful floral cards or a sweet little detailed vintage card, but a card for a guy has not always been as easy for me. So in the next few days, I plan to do a few videos to show you how I overcame this challenge for myself and hopefully help any of you with this idea that it's hard to create a masculine card. When I first thought of this idea, I went to my stamp shelves. I have to admit that I did not have a lot of what I would call male, guy, masculine themed stamp sets. And I'm sure this might be the case for many of you as well. So here was my challenge. I did get lucky in the fact that I ordered the Country Club DSP paper from the mini catalog. And I pulled a few stamp sets that I used that, if used in the correct and right way, I thought could make some great guy cards. So first, let me show you this fabulous DSP. This is it, what you've been looking at. I loved the bright, bold colors and the geometrical designs. What doesn't say more masculine than plaid and argyle, right? I love argyle. In fact, how many of you remember wearing argyle sweaters in high school? Okay, that dates myself really bad. Anyway, and Stewie had to say hi to all of you too. There he is. Anyway, this DSP comes from the Country Club Suite, which is in the mini catalog, which is out until June 2nd. And this suite is actually really kind of fun when you look at some of the sample cards that they've made here. Then you have the DSP, as you do in suites. You have a stamp set and a die bundle. And then there's an argyle folder, some Country Club twine combo pack, and then Country Club wooden elements that I think are really fun. In this card here on page 46, they actually made a shaker card with those, which I thought turned out really cute. And then the next page actually shows the stamp set and the dies just a little bit bigger so you can see more detail of them, and shows some more fun little ideas with the golf clubs in here, the golf club bags, and then the little box that we have in the catalog and how you could make a little gift out of that. So I think it's adorable. I have to admit though, I was not attracted to this when I first looked through the mini catalog. I do not have a golfer connection in any way. Me personally, I'm not a golfer. I do not have any golfers in my life. So at first glance, I didn't really pay it much attention. But this DSP really caught my eye, and so I had to get it. And then, of course, when I saw this argyle embossing folder, I had to get it. And then the Country Club twine combo pack, which coordinates with Poppy Parade, Night of Navy, Garden Green, and Basic Black, I had to get it. Okay? So, this was a good lesson to me, that even though I may not be first attracted to a suite of products, I certainly could handpick any individual products and use them independently of the suite. And that's what I'm going to do in today and tomorrow's video. Okay? So, let's get started. How do you begin a project when you have some great DSP you want to use? Well, I went to a great technique that I actually shared a couple weeks ago, the One Sheet Wonder. What I love about this technique is how easy it is to create your own dimensions. Okay? So I got myself a piece of 6x6 copy paper. That's all I used. I got out my little ruler that I've always used. These are little sewing rulers, but I've always used these at my desk where I'm stamping, and a pencil, okay? And I just began making my measurements. So I do like to combine, well, first of all, I like to start out with 6 by 6 because I think it's less intimidating than 12 by 12. It's a little bit easier, smaller scale to work with. So then I just took my ruler and I just began making measurements. I like to combine some larger pieces with some like medium here, and then also some smaller pieces, because I think it makes your paper combinations as you use them on your cards to mix and match them just a little bit easier. Once you have all your pencil lines firmed up, then I took a Sharpie and I just made them bolder so that they were easier to see. And then you can save this, okay? I actually put the measurements of what each one of them is here on it, and you save this, and I have lots of these templates that I pull out whenever I want to make some cards, okay? So I'm going to show you how I cut them. So I have Stampin' Up's paper trimmer here, and I have 6 by 6, 2 sheets. I'm calling this, it's kind of like what I did a couple weeks ago, the Double Wonder paper class, and I'm going to cut 2 of these at once. The paper cutter, the paper trimmer, I just want to talk about a little bit, and that I love our new one because it has some great things that some old paper cutters did not have. So, and I also need to start by saying that I always cut my paper from the bottom of the paper cutter. Now, I didn't know this until I got together with some other stampers, that most people, and in most videos you actually see, they will cut from the top. Okay, so you'll put your paper up here to the top edge, and they will have their cutter up here, and then they'll have their score blade down here. But I, from the time I have started cutting, have always lined my paper up here at the bottom, okay? So I just want to preface that by saying that. The other clue to that the cut should be from the top is that this has this side arm here that comes out, so that most people are cutting up here from the top, right? And being able to move their paper out this way. Whoops, sorry, I'm off camera. Move out this way so that you can cut to those larger sizes as need be. Now, when I need to do that, obviously I put my paper up here and I cut that way using that blade. But really on a routine basis, my paper cutter right next to me, I usually cut from the bottom. So my cutting blade is always down here, and my score is always above it. Some people actually label these score and cut, so that way you can keep them straight. The other thing that I like about this cutter, which I know past cutters did not have, is that you have this little extra space down here at the bottom, and you also have this extra space up here at the top, so that those blades can be stored out of the way. So that when I want to come down here with my score and score something, see how this guy is out of the way, okay? And some paper tools did not have that in the past. The other thing I'll point out about this one is it does have a little hole here at the top that if you store your paper cutter on the wall, you certainly can hang it up. Like I said, keep mine right next to me, so it's right there handy to the right of me whenever I need to use it. So, but everybody has different spaces and crafts differently, so it's to accommodate those people as well. So I have 2 sheets of 6 by 6, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut 2 of these at the same time, okay? My first cut, as I bring in my little drawing here, you really need to consider which cuts, and I guess I should say the order of the cuts that you're going to make. And so my first cut, I think of these as 3 by 6 with this pattern. So my first cut, I'm going to go across. I'm going to measure line up my paper here at the 3-inch mark here. And I am going to get my score out of the way, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to cut it right up the middle, okay? I'm going to set this one aside for right now, and then I'm going to pull this one over, looking at my guide here again, and my first little section here is 2 by 3. So then I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to cut 2 inches down, okay? So I have those, set those aside. My next little section here is 3 by 3. So I'm going to go ahead and cut that, bring my paper over to 3, and go ahead and cut. And then I'm left with a little 1-inch strip. And according to my template here, I have 3 1 by 1 inch squares. So I'm going to turn this, and I'm going to come over here to the 1-inch mark. This is other thing I like about this cutter is that it actually goes out here to 1.5 if I wanted to. So that's a little nicer. A lot of them don't do that. And then go ahead and cut this second one 1. And then I have 1-inch squares that I'm going to set aside over here. Okay. The other thing I'll point out is that this cutter actually goes over this direction to 6 1/4, and that is not very common in a lot of cutters either. So it's kind of nice in that way too. Okay, so now I'm left with my second 3 by 6 section. And this one's a little trickier in the way you cut it because you kind of have to think about these cuts here. So this cut in particular right here. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to cut this here first at 2 inches. This is 2 inches by 1.5. That will give me that cut there and allow my smaller pieces then to be cut out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn my paper. I'm going to come over here to the 2-inch mark and go ahead and cut that. And then turn that piece to 1.5. Cut next, and that should be right down the middle, so you have even pieces here. And that just completed these two here. These next ones are all 1 by 1.5, but this section here is 2 by 3. Oh my gosh, she's going crazy. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to cut 2 by 3. I'm going to get that big corner one out of the way first. This one here, and then these are all 1 by 1.5. So I have this piece left, these two pieces here, and this measures 2, and I need it to measure 1. So I'm going to come over here. I'm going to measure this, cut this right down the middle. And then they're going to measure by 1.5. So I'm going to bring it over here, and then I'm going to even line this one up here, and I'm going to go ahead and cut down the middle, so that then I have all of my 1 by 1.5 pieces. Okay, now I'm done with my cutter. I'm going to get it out of the way here, and I'm going to bring this out so that you all can see how these worked out and how they look just like my template. Remember, I have a second sheet or a second piece underneath here, so I have double the amount of pieces to work with for my cards. Okay. So there you have it. All right, so I have my 2 by 3 here, 3 by 3. These are all 1 by 1, which I got all from that first 3 by 6 piece. And then down here I have my 2 by 1.5, 2 of those, my 1.5, 4 of those, and then 2 by 3, 1 of those that I got out of my second 3 by 6 sheet. Okay, and like I said, I created this. You can come up with your own dimensions. It's actually really fun to see what all of them can do. Okay. So I want to show you a little bit of some of the cards that I created using these pieces, okay? Keeping in mind that they're all double, okay? So I can mix and match these now. I don't have to use all the blue argyle on one. I don't have to use all of the gray argyle on one. I can mix and match these. So I think by doing 2 sheets at once, it gives you a lot more options when you're creating your card. So the first card I'm going to show you uses this cutout and these 3 1 by 1 inch cutouts, okay? And I went ahead and I just took a ballet blue and a smoky slate base, and I did this time use all the same argyle prints on this one, and I used all the same smoky slate argyles on that one, okay? So then when I went to reach for those stamp sets, some of the stamp sets that stood out to me were the Sailing Home. So the Sailing Home has a lovely lighthouse, which you all know I love the lighthouses. Some beautiful sailboats in here, a neat anchor, a compass, some rope, and then some neat little sentiments in here too. There's also some little bird stamps in here, and coordinates beautifully with a die set. Okay, so that's where I got that lighthouse from. And then I grabbed, which I thought was a little out of the box because I've been using this Ornate Thanks a lot for beautiful flowery cards. But I thought when I saw this So Grateful, I used that a lot on Mother's Day cards and thought that that would be lovely on a Father's Day card as well. And then this is the one that has all these little nice little fun sentiments that you can mix around a little bit. And so I pulled out the one, Just Wanted to Say, and then So Grateful, which I think really made a nice Father's Day card. Okay? On the inside, I took and just had some strips of DSP left over and just threw that on the inside. And then I'll probably put a Happy Father's Day stamp or something in there as well. Or I think you could use it for birthday too, a masculine birthday card. Okay? So that got rid of those and these, okay, pieces. Now, the next pieces that I used were the little bit bigger pieces. I went for this one and this one, these two pieces here, okay? And I put some Night of Navy cardstock and some Smoky Slate cardstock, and then I also used that Argyle embossing folder on this, and I don't know if you can see that or not, but that is beautiful, coordinated with this paper, but just by itself it's beautiful as well. And then I pulled in the Friend Like You stamp set here, which typically, I don't know if you would think of as a masculine set, but I pulled it in because I really like the Happy Day, and then Here's to Celebrating You. Certainly works for a Father's Day card. Along with these stamped images, you get a couple border beautiful framelit dies, and there is one that happens to be palm trees. So that's what I did, is I took a piece of Whisper White, and I reverse cut out those palm trees there, and I thought that made kind of a nice little masculine card. Going along with the palm or the leaf theme, I also pulled in some of our leaf trinkets, okay? These will be retiring, so I'm kind of sad to see those go because I use those quite a bit. They come in this beautiful copper, and they come in this beautiful silver. Okay, so just by doing some extra layering with some cardstock back behind my DSP and adding another panel here with the embossing folder, I've added a lot, and I think these look very masculine. Okay, so that used up these pieces and these pieces here on those cards. The next pieces we're going to use are these pieces here, and then half of these here. Okay, so these are the cards I created with those. Again, I just took some cardstock and used it as layering back behind here, and then another piece that layers behind your DSP. This is the little bit bigger one. It's this one, and then two of these here, and this time I did coordinate the DSPs so they're exactly the same. And then the Argyle folder on my white strip, I thought needed a little something here, and I just went and put that part of the paper in the Argyle embossing folder. So I thought that was kind of a fun, unique, different way to use that a little bit, just to give yourself a little bit of texture on the front there. And then I pulled out some of our silver and gold metallic paper, and I have used this in the past very much, this set, Rooted in Nature, for those leaves. This is a double set that comes with a beautiful die coordinating set, and it has lots of different leaves, the trees, just beautiful. And I've made some beautiful cards with these leaf dies, and if you've come to my classes, you've made some cards, a lot of cards with those as well. So I just took those with the metallic paper and punched those out there. Okay? The World's Best Father stamp actually came from, I actually found a Father's Day stamp in my stash. It comes from the Itty Bitty Greeting Set, which is good for any and all occasions. So it had the world's little best father in there. So I decided to put that on the front to truly make this a Father's Day card. Okay? So that used up these pieces here and these pieces here. Okay? And I thought to myself, well, that's good. I got 6 cards out of that, but I don't want to waste anything, so I have these cute little pieces left here. And I grabbed another piece of Smoky Slate, some Garden Green, ran it through the embossing folder, and then I actually layered these on some Pear Pizzazz because I kind of like the two greens together, layered on the Night of Navy, and I just took all 4 pieces back behind there and layered them up together using a little piece of Ballet Blue, punched out with the, I'm trying to remember the name of that punch. And then layered up that greeting from the Friend Like You set here. And it says, life is so good with a friend like you. But I really liked the life is so good and then with you to make it more of a Father's Day or even a male happy birthday card. So I just kind of fussy cutted around those and was able to highlight just those words that I wanted. Okay? So I'm trying to look up the name of that punch for you because it's going to... So I just used it in my thing. Tailored Tag Punch is the blue layer back behind. Also threw on a little bit of that Country Club twine on there too, just to have a little bit more blue. So that used up my last 4 pieces. So while those might not be the big showcase on this card, remember you can use up all your little scraps of DSP, okay? So I ended up with actually 7 cards, which I thought turned out beautifully and could be used for either Father's Day or could be used also for just birthday cards too. But nice, bold, masculine cards, I thought. So that's it for today. Thank you for joining me, and I hope I inspired you a little to take a little different look at how you make some fun guy card projects. Watch tomorrow, and I'll use this fabulous DSP in an entirely different way. You won't want to miss it.